Bloody hell, that was quick. I'm live already. And there's already a thumbs up. That was amazing. I just got here. Hold on, I'm just going to take a drink of my water. I clicked the live button, it's too quick. Thank you very much for dropping in and welcome to the Sunday service, which is back again on this fine, bright, blue and sunny afternoon here in Ireland. We're meant to get a massive snowstorm or something, some codology that the local newspapers are putting out. Hi, Ricky. They're telling us about the amount of snow that's going to fall and all this kind of the massive blizzard that's going to come in. I think it's a lot of nonsense. It's absolutely gorgeous there, although it is a bit cold. But it's beautiful blue sky. Lovely day to get out. Click that like button if you're just dropping in here. A few announcements to get through. Hi, Salt Pevin. Salt. That's a good name. You got a great. Usually people don't have a picture for their commentary stuff. I don't normally get used to that. Some people do. Hey, there's Justin, has dropped in as well. Good God, there's a huge amount of you coming in today. This is going to be a massive again. I guarantee that this is going to be a big one. Eric Rochford points out that it is now a podcast. It certainly is. I've hooked up with a group called Podbean, who are helping me get the podcast up. It is quite a big job getting it done because it's 2 hours per podcast, which is huge amount of content. There's 26 hours or something of audio to put out. So I've put up 2 episodes. The first kind of 2 that is done, it's on iTunes. So if you head over to iTunes when we're finished doing this or anytime at all, you'll see that. Just search for Bob Flavin. It's there. The Sunday service, search for Bob Flavin. It's under iTunes banner. So it's already there. But it's only the first kind of 2 episodes. So they're probably going to come down and I'm going to do an intro and an outro for them. So there'll be people who will come on iTunes who don't know what the Sunday service is, right? So it's like launching straight into it. So I'm going to do a little intro, a little outro, just let people know what the Sunday service is, get them to subscribe there, but it is now on iTunes, it's on Podbean. I think Acast have taken it as well. Wherever it comes out, wherever you get your podcast from, it should be hanging about there. So thank you very much to everybody who has given funds towards making that happen. I had to go the biggest, massive pro account that Podbean could do just to cope with the size of the podcast, because they're huge. So it's been a bit of an epic journey to get there, but it is there now, so you can do it, which is great news. It means that you guys who listen in on a Monday on the way to work in the car with the thing on Bluetooth, just hearing the audio, now can actually do it in a proper way rather than trying to stream YouTube, which won't play if you try and play YouTube and then you close the screen off. So if you turn off the screen, it stops playing. It's kind of stupid. But thanks, Eric. There's Gavin has dropped in as well. Thomas Clark is here. Steve has come in as well. Ricky Finley was wondering why do car companies gear away? What's that? With lies on their car statistics. Wrong kind of there, but they don't lie. Although they, like all marketing people, they take the statistics they want to put out and give them out. That's what they do. It's not necessarily a direct, like they set out to lie. They set out to tell you what the perfect world will give you. People in Ireland buy car because of the tax band it's in, not because of the right car. So if the tax band is related to the CO2, then the CO2 is manipulative. If you buy it because of the NCAP rating, they make a car to pass the NCAP rating. So everybody does it. Every company does it, not just car companies, but every company does it. Afternoon, is Guard X any good? Guard X, I think, is that the stuff that keeps the windscreen clean? Is that stuff? Or is that stuff that keeps the paintwork clean? There is a good Rain X, I know, is good for windscreens. I used to use it years ago. I haven't used it in a good few years now, but it is good to stop the pitting on the windscreen. Guard X, I think, possibly is a paintwork one. And the one I know that I've used over all the years for paintwork has generally been Maguire's. There's another way to pronounce that as well. Maguire's Wax. I use that quite a bit over the years, but only because I have a bottle of stuff sitting inside. I don't know why I bought it. Afternoon, Damien. Afternoon, Dermot. And a good afternoon for Mark Howells at Prescott. Howells Prescott? Prescott. Any relation to the Minister Prescott? No. Footy Ferrari has joined us as well. The regulars are all here. Click the like button. It'll be brilliant for you. It's not only good for your health to click the like button, but it's also good for my health, for the stream's health. It lets YouTube know that this is happening, which is very good. And if you're listening to this back on the recording for the Sunday service, which is the podcast that you can have now on iTunes, we are on iTunes. Thank you very much for subscribing. It's very good to have you here. How are you, Darren? Steve says, are all-weather tyres any good in the ice, snow, UK and Ireland weather, not the Alps, or are they worth it? So really, I do have a thing coming. Continental Tires, Tom Denigan, he's the manager of Continental Tires, has put himself forward to do a tyre special particular video. I was always hesitant of this because Tom will only talk obviously about Continental. It is his brand of tyre, but very few others will actually put someone forward to do that themselves. So, but the difference is, so you have summer tyres, you have winter tyres, and then you have these things that kind of straddle both called all-weather tyres. So if you look at the tyre, it's actually split kind of down the centre, and you got this kind of rough side on the inside and a really slim side on the outside. I suppose they're good. They're not going to beat one over the other, so you're not going to beat summer tyres in summer, you're not going to beat winter tyres in winter. And I've driven on spiky tyres in Finland. If you didn't watch that video, it's the last video that's out on the channel. You should have a look at that. It's very good for your health as well. That got murdered by YouTube, statistically speaking. It came out on the same day as all the little channels were demonetized, and something happened and all the monetization icons vanished, and it absolutely murdered that video. It just didn't seem to get enough shares on it for whatever reason. So it was YouTube's fault rather than mine. The video is very good. Part 2 of that video will be out next week. Hopefully it'll work. The mixed tire, or the kind of summer winter tire, is a good medium for the Irish roads, but generally speaking, we never really see the activation of either summer nor winter tires in this country. We never really get warm enough to have a summer tire. We never really get cold enough to have the winter tires on. We fall into a funny sort of position when it comes to tires. Generally speaking, the mixed tire is probably the best option you have here for longevity, and it just allows you to have one tire rather than having two different kinds of tires. Further north in Europe, it is a requirement by law to have winter tires on at certain points of the year. So yeah, it's a good mix between the two. Stephen says, afternoon Bob, with all your industry contacts, have you heard of any similar issues affecting the facelift insignia that affected the original one as dodgy steering racks? I haven't. There's a brand new insignia after coming out. I saw somebody, wasn't it? Maybe it was Opel that tweeted a picture of it, a GSI one with an 8-speed box and things. Are making a big song and dance about it. But Opel don't really have the money for investment in that sort of end of it, so they've had to use the parts again or take them from Peugeot, because they were recently bought up by Peugeot. So I wait and see. I hold judgment. I've had the Grand Am X. I didn't particularly like it. Video coming out soon that says I didn't particularly like it. So sorry, Opel. Although I did see other journalists say that they liked it. I like the look of it, but that was about as far as it went. Click that like button if you wouldn't mind. I'm saying like. Click like, say like a lot. Click the like button just so everyone gets to see it here. I haven't had anyone tell me directly about the steering racks, but generally speaking, these things are fixed very fast. And also you often find that you only ever hear the negative about a car on from your friends. So you only ever hear when you sit down in a pub or you're talking to your friends or your mates or your buddies around about cars. You go, oh, that car is always big trouble, big trouble. It's all you ever hear. You don't ever hear the good stories about cars. So many questions already. My God, we're off. Afternoon, Zdenko. Good to have you here. Peter, good lad. Thomas Clark, Bob, would you even think about doing a 3 to 5 year old car reviews for second-hand market, maybe top 3 in each category? That is kind of on the way, kind of. There's a local dealership here, a Kia dealership, Downey's, who has asked me to do kind of used car reviews for them. It's for their channel. So to look at used cars so they can sell them in actual fact, in effect, in that kind of way. So I might be able to get that done, possibly. But you see, the problem has always been insurance in this country, Thomas. I am insured, technically I have my own insurance, so I'm insured to drive any car, third-party fire and theft, irrespective of the size of the engine, irrespective of the age of the car. So any car is third-party fire and theft. The biggest problem is that doesn't mean that I can just wander into somebody's house and drive their car that's worth 100 grand, right? Because it's only third-party fire and theft. That's the problem there. So insurance is always an issue. Whereas if I'm dealing with a dealership, I'm under the dealership insurance, sorted. End of story. I can do what I like. Did you see the new Peugeot 508? I saw the kind of teaser photographs they put out. I know they said that they're sneak pics, but they're teaser photographs. And I've seen the new kind. They still look a bit renderish, a bit look like renders. Looks very, very handsome. The big fear I have for the Peugeot 508 was the same as the last one. No cabin storage. They really, really lacked in cabin storage. You need a center console and the door pockets and things were all really small, and it really detracted from the ownership level of a car. But the suspension, the steering rack, the seating position is all really good in the 508. I drove it quite some miles. So it was a great car, but it just, if they didn't sort out the genuine normal problems with the car, they were always going to end up in trouble. Paul Grady says, keep up the good work, Bob. I will do, Paul, as much as I possibly can. Marcus Hogan, sorry, Bob, I'm missing that last 2 weeks. Good to be back. Good man, Marcus. Glad to have you here. Loads of you came from Instagram. Instagram is where I'm probably most active at the moment. You can find me on Instagram, Bob Flavin, there if you want to subscribe to that. More announcements coming as well. The biggest announcement today, of course, is this Sunday service is now a podcast. You can get this Sunday service on iTunes, although it will lag behind the live Sunday service. Obviously, you can't ask questions either on a recorded program, but the recording from this will go out, the audio broadcast of this will go out directly on iTunes and also on Podbean. If you want to go over there, I've got a page on Podbean, actually. Funny enough, they set me up with a big page thing. I don't quite understand a whole lot of it yet, but I'm getting there slowly but surely. So that's going out. But the second kind of part of anything that's coming is next week, probably from next Tuesday, I'm starting a longer term test of electric cars. So Volkswagen, and big shout out to Paddy and the guys in Volkswagen, have stumped up with an e-Golf, and they're going to give it to me for at least 2 weeks. And I'm going to test it daily. So every single day I'm going to do something with it, and that'll probably be through Instagram and YouTube here. And I'm going to record my mileage, the cost, how many times I've charged it, how often I charge it, how many miles I do over the time of the week. They're all relevant things. And I'm going to learn the new language of electric cars, of kilowatt hours and all that, you know, MPG version in an electric car. And so for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be a lot of electrics, but also mixed into that, I've also got a Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace, a Skoda Octavia VRS is on next week as well. The e-Golf is on next week as well. So much going on. Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of things. So make sure you're subscribed here, but you can also head over to Instagram and subscribe there as well, because you will see it live there before it ever comes out of this on this video thing. Happy medium. Yes, Steve, if that's the tires, it is a happy medium between a whole lot of them, but it's still, they end up being kind of a mixed bag. It's hard to work out which one you're going to be using most from. Sean McKay says, afternoon, Bob, on the bus from Drogheda back to work, back to Cork for college. Good man, stay in college, learn your shit, get out there and start doing things. Vangelis, my God, that's a great name. Did you ever see Blade Runner? He's a great composer there, Vangelis. Hi Bob, great to see you every Sunday between the Skoda Karoq 1.5 TSI 150 PS and the VW Tiguan 1.4 125 PS. Which one would you choose? I would currently choose the Karoq. I do have a problem with Karoq. Skoda fitted its own little brand. It did its own thing. It never felt like a Volkswagen. It never felt like a Seat when you got into a Skoda. The Karoq, unfortunately, feels like a Tiguan. The minute you sit into it, it just feels like a Tiguan. It even looks a bit like a Seat Ateca. Or is it Ateca? Which one's the bigger one? Aron is the smaller one, isn't it? Ateca is the bigger one. That's the problem I have. There's the problem I have now. It doesn't fit properly. But I still, at the same time, it is the best car in that segment at the moment. It just doesn't feel very Skoda-ish. But it's a very, very, very good car. So pick the Karoq there for Vangelis. Steve says, cheers, appreciate the answer, no problem. Marcus, parents want to upgrade their 11-year-old Discovery. God almighty, an 11-year-old is still on the road, still working, it's not broken pieces. Thinking about the future and emissions resale, should be looking at a new Disco XC90. Don't consider the new Disco anyway, start. Trying to convince them into the XC90 is better. XC90, XC60, both great, both brilliant cars, both slightly future-proof. There is electric versions of most of those cars on the way if you want to hang out for the things and get the electric version. That's up to you. Hybrid electric, you know. Everything's got a future. The future is limited. The valuation costs are happening. The government now are starting to get out ERSI reports that agree with their position on increasing the price of diesel rather than decreasing the price of petrol. They know it's coming. I did warn you about this months ago in videos. Where I saw in the UK, I saw in Northern Ireland, I saw it overseas as well, where the price of petrol and diesel is the same at pumps. I did warn you about that multiple times. It's going to happen here. The government are going to force you to buy diesel at the same price as petrol. And how they're going to keep the commercially people calm and not completely get rid of the government, is they will give them a huge VAT discount. They will say you can claim back the tax or the VAT or something on something or other, and that's how they're going to manage to push it all together. Anyway, buy the XC90, don't buy the Disco. It's going to be worth more on the way out. It's a prettier car overall. The new Disco isn't very pretty. The XC90 is lovely, but a little bit boring. Statistically, marriage is great, but I'm divorced 2 times. I know, yeah. Marriage isn't great. Neither is divorce great. Whatever keeps your head straight is what's great. Stephen says, sorry, Bob, should have been a bit more specific. I'm talking about the 2013-2017 version of what, Stephen? Sorry, it's like blank there. It goes by me so fast. Can you ask the guy from Continental if they do all-weather tires for the BMW X5 20-inch? Just bought one, and I'm currently only fine Pirelli Scorpion. Yeah, BMW X5 20-inch has always been a problem. BMW have always been a problem with tires, in fairness, and they used to be the most expensive tire for years, was always in BMW. BMW always seemed to make their own kind of version for each car. Buy an M5 or an M3 and you suddenly find out that they only make one brand of tire for it. So it's a bit weird. David Ryan, I'd love to buy a used 2011 or 2014 BMW 520 diesel or 320 Touring. Buy the 320 Touring. However, the online horror stories about those 2-litre N47 engine timing chain problems are very off-putting. Any advice, Bob? You'll only ever hear horror stories is the number one. People don't tend to go on and go, I absolutely had 0 problems with my BMW 320 diesel over all the years. But that's notwithstanding the fact that BMW had problems with both the steering rack, the timing chain, and the steering system. The timing belt, timing chain thing that was going on there for a while, and they also had a problem with the power steering pump, and all of it to do with that car. It was something to do with the length of the steering rack. I don't know, some sort of a stupid reason to come up with it, but the problem has existed for a while. Some of them were corrected, some of them will never be corrected until they're broken. Some cars will survive forever. It's a difficult point to be in. You kind of have to buy in with both feet. When you're going into BMW, often BMW have traded upon the fact that their cars are very affordable to buy to begin with. And that's true. If you look side by side at an Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Lexus, or whatever it is, you find that BMW is ever so slightly more affordable than the other ones. But generally speaking, parts and tires and things that wear out on a BMW tend to be a lot more expensive than something for an Audi or, well, not Mercedes, but Audi anyway. Audi would have the most affordable parts system. BMW would be one of the higher priced parts system, and particularly BMW Ireland. I know they've done whatever they can to make it more affordable these days, but still, it's still bloody expensive to get your BMW sorted in Ireland. It's very expensive. I tend to stay away from when it comes to repairing things. I tend to stay away from commenting on it, but I will comment on that one for sure. That BMW tend to be more expensive when it comes to parts. So stay away from the ones you're talking about, David Ryan. The ones you're talking about, be very, very cautious with this, because God Almighty, that engine could blow up in your face and cost you a fortune. It costs you as much as the car sometimes. Click that like button, would you please? There's 74 of you watching currently, which is brilliant. That's a gigantic number of people watching this week. But click the like button, please, just so YouTube knows this is happening. Sorry, quick, because I don't get ad breaks. See, to have a little drink in the middle of it. So we got to keep moving. DS is here. Hey, Bob, love the latest video of RS, some machine. Maybe have some snow next week ourselves and recreate the new Volvo V60 launched this week, and businesses bringing back the estate. Yeah, well, hopefully the V60 be nice. I saw render pictures there of a couple of other Volvos coming up. The design department of Volvo are on point at the moment. Seriously, they are doing a spectacular job on the exterior design and interior design of the car. Hopefully Volvo can keep up with that. In that Volvo's never really been a driver's car until you got to the kind of stupid end of Volvo. Then it became a driver's car, but usually crazy. They tend to be very, very safe. And they tend to stay very safe with their design. I was in Finland a couple of weeks ago, and there's a lot of Volvos up there. Most of them are the old hearse, you know, the hearse that they had, which is the Volvo 850 GL or something it's called. Gigantically long car, beautiful, beautiful thing. Really, properly collector's item now. But I actually saw an all-wheel drive 2.5 litre petrol V6 version up there, and it purred. It was beautiful. Skidding and sliding on other place. It was really good. But it's great to see Volvo back doing something cool. Bob has this just started. We are 19 minutes in, Johnny Be Good. We're here. Your opinion on a new 508? 508 looks gorgeous, especially rear end, looks very tasty. But Peugeot currently are doing a really good job of interiors. But if they don't sort the interior to 508 and make it more practical, give you more storage bins and things, it's going to be a nightmare of a car. I'd love to see what Peugeot plan to do in the future. They have spent a lot of money on buying Opel, so they better get it sorted. Joe Leddy. Well, Bob, first time tuning in. I'll start off with strong. What's your opinion on the 2014 Vauxhall Zafira SRI spec? Vauxhall Zafira has been a really staple, good, honest car for Vauxhall and Opel over the years. They tended to neglect it over the past while because people aren't desiring 7-seat cars, but it's been the one that started it all. Who used to advertise? The original Zafira ad was done by, not Rick Mail, it was done by one of those English comedians. But anyway, Zafira has been a really, really practical car. There are other 7-seat cars out there. SRI used to be the fast one, the desirable one. Of course, it's not anymore, but it's a spec now rather than being the fast one. But practical, honest, they brought in that Flex 7 seating, the smart kind of slidey back and forward seating. They start that out. But really good comparison to what Opel does is something like a Volkswagen Charan. The Ford Galaxy is the perfect one at the moment. It's a really clever car. There's so many bits and pieces out there for competition. Beware. But Vauxhall and Opel have always had the Zafira, and it's the king, or it's kind of like the granddaddy. It was nearly out there by the time the the Espace came out. They were ready to go with the Vauxhall Zafira. So it's a good car. 2014 is a good year as well. You get a good deal on that one, Joe. So, go after it. Cars and Coffee is on a Cork next Sunday. If you'd be interested in going, I would, but I'd have to do the Sunday service from that Cars and Coffee because I have to do this live. But of course, I'd be interested in going to any Cars and Coffee. Somebody email me the details of these things and I'll see if I can fit it in. JP O'Callaghan's here again. Hi, Bob. Any advice on cleaning white leather seats? Black seat cover dyed. Oh my God, I hate that. Black seat cover dyed the seat. New X5 with smoke white merino leather. There is leather cleaner, specific leather cleaner you can get, and I think it's, what is the name of that company? I can picture the front of their thing. It'll come to me in a minute. There is a company that makes that stuff, a well-known company. You get it in Halfords on. This isn't the specialist stuff, but it is white leather cleaner specifically for that. The problem is if it's stained, if it's gone right down into the leather, you're going to have to go to a valeter to get it done. They have a special sort of a wax stuff. It takes time. It takes a long time to get leather clean. But it's worth doing if you're selling the car. If you're not selling the car, don't worry about it so much. Just get in with a white towel over the top of it. I tell you what's also an absolutely spectacular leather cleaner is the standard ordinary baby wipes. Not sensitive baby wipes, just ordinary baby wipes, right? There is an incredibly mild kind of alcohol-based solution in those jokes. Don't buy water wipes because that's just water and wipes or something, right? Just get ordinary, like run-of-the-mill, cheapest chips baby wipes and use that on your real leather stuff, and it'll take any color out of it. But sometimes it's just not strong enough. If it's been ingrained, if it's been rubbed into it, like someone in a pair of jeans sitting on a white leather seat, it can all be a pain in the hole getting it out. But if you get it quick, it's fine. But if you don't get it quick, if you wait a few weeks, it can be a real problem. Kevin asks, Bob, your opinion on leasing, please, mate. Would you buy a nearly new or new lease? Nearly new or lease. So it depends on your needs, Kevin. It also depends on your financial situation. Some people like the idea of just owning a car outright and having it for themselves and not really dealing with having to, deal with someone else's problem. So they want to buy a brand new car. They want to order the car, the color they like, the wheels they like. Leasing kind of gets you that, but not quite. You kind of get a list of things you can lease and you take one off the lease as it is. Works for people that gets company cars, but it comes under things like BIK. You still have fees and things to pay, and you're still going to have to pay for parking tickets. But it takes away the idea of having to get cars maintenance, changing tires, all that stuff just goes away and starts to become part of your lease. So leasing can end up being a little bit cheaper, depending on your mileage, cheaper than actually owning a car, although only if you do it in the right way around. Now, I have a much bigger preference to actually buying the car out, or not buying it out, at least owning 50% of what's in the car, right? So if the car is 10 grand, I prefer to walk in with 5 grand and hand that over and add 5 grand's worth of credit to it. And that way you get a credit rating, you get a relationship, you get all of the stuff that goes around that. And it becomes your car over time, an asset you can have. Whereas when you lease, you own nothing. If things go wrong, you just hand the car back. But if things go right, it's still not yours. It's not an asset. It's just something that's costing you money the whole time. Big shout out there to Connor Shannon, who has just put €5 into Super Chat. Thank you very much. You're very good. Hi, I'm trading an old Morris Minor in for a new car. What would you recommend? You have a Morris Minor and you're trading it in. Although Morris Minors don't really get a whole lot of money, to be honest with you. They sell. If they're in absolutely spotlessly clean condition, you'd get maybe 5 or 6 grand, but they're not considered still as a proper classic. But if you're going from a Morris Minor, literally go into anything you want from there on out. If you want something modern and something really bargain basement, go in for a Dacia Sandero or something, you know, you'd be into a brand new car for 15, 16 grand there. So it's the world is your oyster when you're coming from something that old. You'll get there. That was for Kevin. Worrell was the leasing bit. You can, of course, support this channel in all kinds of ways. The number 1 is to click the like button. Number 2 is to subscribe. Beneath this as well is number 3, which you can do PayPal, Patreon, and you can do cryptocurrency, or you can do Super Chat here if you want to financially support this podcast or this live stream. It is live. I do give up like 2 hours every Sunday for this. But we are now a podcast, which cost me a bleeding fortune to get set up. But it's set up now, which is good. So you can actually subscribe by iTunes. And I've opened up the podcast first for a sponsor, all on its lonesome. So you can sponsor the Sunday Service podcast or sponsor Sunday Service and this as well if you want to. But any support you can give is absolutely brilliant. But PayPal down below is really handy. It takes you straight to a PayPal page, opens a new window. And you can do Patreon, you can do the Super Chat here as well. Any of those things are absolutely brilliant and support this channel massively, as massive investment is going on at the moment. Jim Quinn, looking forward to seeing the EV reviews you have coming. Hear that the new Hyundai Kona EV will be announced this week. Smallish crossover to look at. Do well. Yeah, it should do. I don't know. I don't see too many EVs being sold at the moment. We'll see what happens. Hyundai getting into the game is a good thing. That's always a good thing. The Kona was not a bad car. It was a bit thirsty. The 1.6 litre, which they put out on the press fleet, was very thirsty. I thought, anyway. I've lost my place. This is the echo of me every single week. It's the same thing when I say I've lost my place because there's just so many questions, which is brilliant. Andrew Lane, need a hand reviewing the cars next week. Give me a shout. I will, Andrew. No problem at all. I'm sure I always need a bit of help. Press that like button. Yeah, press the like. 83 of you watching. This is a massive week. I knew it was going to be a giant week this week. It's getting bigger every single week. We go up. Like 1,600 people watched last week. And if anyone tells me that people only watch 5 minutes of YouTube, you're a liar. They don't watch 5 minutes. They watch 2 hours. They watch, if the content is good, they'll watch forever. So it's an absolute mess to say that you should shorten your videos. Yeah, right. Also want to discuss something else. There's a huge amount of very small YouTubers that were demonetized, right? I wasn't demonetized because I do like 1 million minutes a month or every 28 days, something like that. 1 million minutes of my videos is watched every 28 days or some number like that. I'm not sure what it is. But that had never occurred on this channel. But I see people who say they won't make any more YouTube channels. No, I'm not going to make any more YouTube videos now. YouTube don't love me anymore. You know what? I broke my balls for 8 years to get this far. Like I murdered myself out in the cold rain. Never took a holiday. Never missed a week uploading. Never done. I started a live chat when no one else said I want to do live chat. I've done all of that sort of stuff. You've got to keep going. That's it. You've got to make good content to keep going. If you can't reach 4,000 view minutes per month, I mean, it's tiny. I make 1 million view minutes a month, so I don't understand. But anyway, I'm sorry to anyone who got demonetized. You'll come back if you collaborate, if you do something. Try and get yourself moving again. You'll be fine. Wisdom, hi Bob. Will you soon be reviewing the new Nissan Leaf, Brennan? Yeah, I sure will. No dates as of yet, but it's to be launched in Ireland this year in the first half. So it'll be up for Irish Car of the Year this year, I'm sure. Although we are lagging behind a bit. Come on, Nissan, pull the finger out there and get the car moving. Looking to trade this from the butcher. The butcher. Yeah, right, okay. Looking to trade up my car up the north. Was thinking of the VRT that would get back and would have an incentive. Not many garages interested. You can, there's a little known fact when you export your car. So if you sell your car to someone in the UK or someone in Northern Ireland, you as the owner can claim back the VRT on that car, which is quite a bonus when you think about it. The VRT can be quite a lump of money that's going out of the car, but you have to export it. But unfortunately, not many guys are interested in buying in an Irish car because we massacre the cars here. We don't look after them properly, and generally speaking, we just drive them into the ground. Connor Shannon says, I have inherited an old Morris Minor from my nan in Boyle. I think about trading it in. What would you recommend? It depends. Narrow it down for me. You could trade that in on absolutely anything, Connor, to be honest with you. Morris Minor, I mean, you want to sell that, you sell that in privately, like, honestly. Someone out there will, if that's in good nick, someone out there will love that. A car dealership will just scrap it. A car dealership will just give it away to someone or throw it in the bin or crush it or something. You know, you want to find a good home for that. Many people out there love those Morris Minors, and one in good condition is actually running. If you can find a 1.1 litre petrol version now, it's a beautiful car. Really lovely little smooth thing, red interior, black exterior. Just never considered a classic because there's an awful lot of them in Ireland. And that was the big problem with them. There was a lot of them hanging around. Bob, have you seen pictures of the new Seat Tarocca? It looks well. Will it be in Ireland? Will you be getting the spin anytime soon in the BMW X2? Like to look at that too. Seat Tarocca, I don't think I have. I must have seen it at some point though, because I've been on everything with Seat. Tarocca will probably be another version of something that they're already doing in the Volkswagen group. BMW X2 is in Ireland, and I think I might have seen a couple of journalists drive it, but I don't think BMW think that I'm important enough to give cars to. So I'm not entirely sure whether that's true or not. Whether it's an importance thing or something I said about their cars in the past, I'm not too sure. But we'll see what goes on the press fleet. We'll see what happens. I'll ring them up and ask them for BMW X2, see what it's like. I don't particularly like the look of it, but that's just, I'm not into those kind of crossover things. I think if you're going to spend money in that direction, you spend money in the right place, and in that crossover, it's equipment that should rule the whole thing, because it'll never go off-road. It makes no difference if it's four-wheel drive or not. Realistically, all you really want is the right tires for the job. I've seen two-wheel drive cars. I was with Skoda in Finland last week, and they drove a two-wheel drive Skoda Superb Estate right through a big icy thing because it had spiky tires. So no difference. Four-wheel drive does do better. If you look at the video I put out a couple of days ago, you'll see me in a four-wheel drive out-accelerated two-wheel drive on exactly the same tires by a big margin. So it's all there, but whether it's worth your while really going out and spending money on a BMW X2 over a Skoda Karoq or a Volkswagen Tiguan, I don't think so. Hi Bob, do you think that Skoda have priced the Karoq on the high side with a couple of grand more than the Kodiaq? Kind of, but it's that segment. Will withstand a little bit more pricing in it, and there's a lot of case in the Karoq as well. There is a 1 litre version of the Karoq going to come out, which he says with a Skoda jacket on it. This is a Skoda jacket. I got this last week. I was just using it to keep warmer in the house. Put on a jacket. It's nice and warm, Skoda. Thanks. It is a little bit overpriced, and I do think the Skoda Karoq isn't distinctive enough in the segment. But I'll reserve judgment until I drive the 1.5 litre petrol and the 1 litre petrol to see if there's any differences there. David Allen, hello from Croatia. Watched the Finland video, so good. And the Nissan Leaf, is the Nissan Leaf a game changer? No, it is absolutely not a game changer. Nissan Leaf is going to hopefully re-energize the need for electric cars and infrastructure to happen in a meaningful way in Ireland. And that's what Nissan Leaf can bring. It's not a game changer because it's actually behind the times. It should have been out 12 months ago to really capitalize on the need to get rid of diesel. The problem is right now the market is starting to flood with EVs, so there's a good few EVs coming to that segment. The Volkswagen Golf, e-Golf, which I'll have next week for a long test, a long couple of weeks. I'm going to keep that car and see what it's really like to live in an electric car. Then you have the older generation Nissan Leaf, then you have the newer Nissan Leaf. These are all big money, big expensive money to change over to. And have a small kind of quirky bit of the world to live in. And in that respect, it means that Nissan Leaf is kind of behind the times. It needed to be out when we first saw it hit the streets of Tokyo. It needed to be launching in Europe, like in that few months, and it's it's nearly 12 months since I saw the first sort of renders of the thing. So it's not necessarily a game changer, but it's certainly right here in the heels. Hyundai are investing heavily in electric cars as well. They have unlimited bags of money. It seems, every time I look at them, they seem to be just spending huge amounts of money, vast amounts of money on things. And they are starting to manufacture batteries. So once that starts to happen, you're going to have a big problem for Nissan to try and keep up. If you've got that sort of money behind you, like Hyundai do. John Keats says, "Hi Bob, I love your reviews." Thanks, John. Thanks. I'd love the Skoda Octavia 1 litre TSI, and I know you like it. Is it okay for a long road trip through France? The only issue making me hesitate. It depends, John. If you're going to drive every week on a long-term drive through France, then diesel's still the only way out. If you're going to go on holiday once a year to France and drive down and drive back, and you're just worried about that one trip, nah, it's not going to be a problem. You're never going to see the big deal anyway. There's no point in spending $5,000 extra on a diesel car when you're only going to drive it in long range once a week. If your mileage is over 20 to 30,000 kilometers a year, diesel is really still the only answer, and will remain the only answer for the next couple of years, unless something remarkable happens at a motor show in the next couple of years. I don't think it will though. If your mileage is under 20,000, then hybrid petrol is in the definite right zone to be in. And if your mileage is anything less than that, EV, electric car, all electric car. We worked out the other day, because my own Leon had an NCT. We worked out that my wife drives less than 3,000 kilometers a year. We should be an electric car all the time. That's mainly because we always have there's always a second car there. For any long journeys, we tend to use the press car anyway. So, but you should have no problem at all. Skoda Octavia 1 litre TSI is a lovely little car, of an engine of a car to drive on, even in DSG mode. It's a really pleasant little car to drive. Octavia still remains my favourite car of the Skoda range. AJK, that's an unusual username. Hi Bob, first I'd like to congratulate you on a fantastic YouTube channel. You're deadly. Oh man, this is how you get your question read out. This is how you get your question read out. When you start off with a comment like that. You could ask me anything now and you're going to get a 15-minute answer. Fantastic. Listen, a fantastic YouTube channel. Great reviews and very informative. Thanks very much, AJ. Secondly, I would like to ask a used car advice, please. Audi A4 Avant, TFSI, post 2012, or Mark 7 Golf GTI. I would go with the Golf GTI in that, because it's Mark 7. It's a really good car. They're very light, very agile, good interior, good resale value as well. GTI didn't sell as well because the Golf R pilfered from the GTI sales, because the Golf R was almost the same price as GTI. And so it's actually quite hard to get a decent GTI out there. The problem with GTI is DSG is far nicer to drive around the city. The manual one is really good, but your clutch wear out like a lunatic. But it's a great car to drive. The A4 Avant is probably nicer, ever so slightly nicer to look at, but it's actually tighter interior than the Golf. So I would go with the Golf GTI on that one, because you'll be happier out longer term in a GTI, and you're not really going to get penalised too much on the fuel, because GTI is actually pretty good fuel economy when you keep it out of the racy mode thing, whatever that race mode thing is. The Peugeot Rifter, yeah, I posted on Instagram. Correct, I'm on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram at the moment, so if you want to subscribe over there on Instagram as well, you'll see on Instagram stories, and you'll see the pictures and things that I put out, some of the concept shots. And I will be posting a good bit from Geneva Motor Show. I'm not going to Geneva Motor Show, but I will be posting the stuff that I spot in press releases and stuff that if I find it interesting, I stick it up on Instagram. The Peugeot Rifter camper that you posted on Instagram looks cool. Pity it's a prototype. Looks like they're going to make it. There's an awful lot of interest for that Peugeot Rifter. They will make the van. I hope they make the camper van version of it. Even in limited numbers would be good. I'd love to see that kind of car. I love that kind of inventive car, this multifunctional car that can be anything. Like, think of a Mazda Bongo. Never came out here, but came in here in numbers all the same. Really, really cool car. I think it's a really cool car, but you can't get a decent one these days. They'll all be converted into camper vans. JP wants to know where the Cars and Coffee is on in Cork next Sunday. So someone send me a message there. Where is the Cars and Coffee in Cork next Sunday? And we might all drop down to that. I forget what I have. I was going to VRS. Yeah, well, might make the trip down there. You never know. Drive a Mark 6 Golf GT TDI family car, as I have 2 kids under 5. I want something that is comfortable in the back for passengers, but good to drive. Heart says GTI, but A4 Avant may be more practical. They're not. A4 Avant isn't that much more practical. They're quite tight enough. You don't get a lot of room in that boot. A6 Avant you do, but A4 is more of a lifestyle ski car. So you don't really you get a little bit more length, but you don't get more width or height. And the GTI is murderously big, especially the Golf 7. Really, really big boot. Laker Greenfield says, hey Bob, hey Laker, how you doing, man? DS, did you ever consider CarWow or one of the other franchise type options? Would it work for you at all, dealer support, etc.? I'd love to hook up with someone to do that kind of, to put the content out under their banner. It'd be kind of cool. A bit like Matt Watson does on CarWow, if anyone ever watches that. He makes very good videos, very long videos, but he's got a crew and stuff. So it's a different story. It's very hard to look at what I do and look at what he does. And I know we get compared a lot. We've talked about it, myself and Matt have talked about it before. We do get compared a fair bit in the way we review, and that kind of relaxed version of reviews, because there isn't many of them out there. And Matt still does that same sort of thing, and so do I. But Matt is his own sort of brand. I think he could take what he does in CarWow and transplant it into anything else, and it would still work fine for him. He's never made the jump to TV. I don't know whether he ever wants to. I don't think anyone does these days. I don't know. I mean, Top Gear is back tonight. Is Top Gear back tonight? And I never had such a least amount of interest in watching a show that made me do what I do now. The reason I review cars on YouTube is because of Jeremy Clarkson, James May, Richard Hammond, and the Top Gear crew. And now Top Gear is coming out tonight, and I couldn't care less whether it's on or not. I've seen the trailers, and they all look absolutely useless. About as funny now as a kick in the face. Actually, I might even prefer the kick in the face. But I might try. I thought about CarWow. I thought about a couple of other dealerships here. I'm not too sure dealerships are big enough here to withstand that. I think somehow, to some degree, Sinead McCann does it already on carsireland.ie. CBG gave a good shot at having a tribe that ran out of money. Everybody tried to catch up with me at one point or another. Now they're all kind of running out of steam. So, and I'm still here, which is a hard thing to do. But it's only because I am on my own, because I get to say anything I want to say about any car I like, and there's nobody. I've no boss. I don't report to anybody, which is a nice way to do it. Where are we? Leon, 2-litre 184 brake horsepower, FR trim for €20,300. Would you say it's a good deal, or unmarried guy who buys cars after a long period of time, 12 plus years? You're unmarried, you want to buy a Leon 2-litre 184 brake horsepower FR trim. Why wouldn't you buy a Cupra? When you go 1 year older and buy a, anyway, not gonna worry about that. It'll be fine. That's an alright deal. The price seems pretty straightforward. You're looking for another car for 12 years. I've owned a Seat Leon for 12 years, so I've had no problems with them, and I've no problem with Seat Leons normally. I think they're a pretty good car. They tend to be like a Golf Light, except for Cupra, which is a good car. I know Cupra's been launched now as its own brand. Oh, look what happened to DS when Citroen did that. They went nowhere. Cupra could go the same direction as well. They end up just fizzling out and coming back into Seat. But anyway, we'll see. Sean McKay says he'll DM the details of the Cork Cars and Coffee season. It's in Little Island, JP. If you're running Little Island in Cork, there's a Cars and Coffee next Sunday. Not today, next Sunday. If we're not under a blanket of snow at that point. I might drop down. If I have time, I might have to do this Sunday service either on the way or there. Cork is actually quite a hike from here. It's a good 3-hour drive from here. So it's a lovely drive though. Seat Tarraco is the Kodiak of Seat, like the A-Tech. Oh, I have seen it. I knew I saw that bloody car. Yes, it is the Kodiak version from Seat, the Tarraco. Should be interesting. Unfortunately, they're starting to really blur the lines between Seat, Skoda, Audi. Well, not so much Audi, but Seat, Skoda, Volkswagen for sure. Audi are in there too. I don't really like that blurry line stuff. I really have a problem with that now. In that, how do you make people make the right decision if a car is just $2 grand, $2 grand more, $2 grand more, a little bit bigger? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It needs to be different. And click that like button, everybody, please, if you just got here. It's vitally important that you do that. The more people that click the like button, the more YouTube put this message out that there's a live show happening in Ireland. This is Ireland's biggest live show. Did you know that? I didn't know that. till about 3 weeks ago, till I was told. Thank you. Keep clicking the like button. Everybody trying to get to 100 likes now in a big blink of an eye. You can also support this channel in numerous other ways. Super Chat being one of them right here on YouTube if you want to. You just click the little dollar sign under the chat thing. You can also do it by PayPal, which is humongously appreciated because I've turned this Sunday service into a podcast that goes out on iTunes, and that cost me a mint. I had to buy a big pro account and upload all sorts of things and get things all sorted out and then size of the files and rehash the files. And oh my God, it was such a stressor. But it's okay. We're fine. We're fine. It'll be okay. But that happened and that cost a bloody fortune. So anybody who wants to sponsor the Sunday service would be absolutely brilliant. But you can click the PayPal button or you can click the Patreon button under the description of this and support it that way. It's always massively appreciated. Anton Stressen. I bought an Audi A2. Oh, what a car. Great car. Really nice car. 2002, a week ago. Do you reckon the A2 will be a classic in the future? It is already a classic. It is already a classic. I'm telling you. Absolutely. Put it in the garage somewhere. The thing is going to go up in price for sure. Particularly the 1.4 TSI or TFSI, whatever it was called at the time. A car that could do 80 miles to the gallon. It was so futuristic. You had to take the whole front out the car to service it. Amazing car. Amazingly weird and wonderful try of Audi to do something totally different. And then they completely forgot they ever made the thing. But they learned a lot from that. And that's where all the engines we're getting now, all the TFSI and fuel stratified injection, that's where it was all tested. The diesel version of that car could do nearly 104, 105 miles to the gallon. Just an amazing car. Definitely future classic, without a doubt, Anton. Congratulations, you've bought the absolute pinnacle of cars. I don't speak French, but that's a lovely saying to have there. No problem, AK. I hope you go well in the GTI. Barry says, hey Bob, I love the show. Thanks very much. What do you think of the new VW Scirocco? It's dead. It's dead, basically. VW Scirocco. It's almost finished now. Just coming out the last few. Are the TSIs any good? Seen them a little bit expensive spec-wise. Scirocco's always been a little bit overpriced. There is another version of it coming that will replace Scirocco. I don't know if it's actually going to be gone or not, but they seem to be reducing supply, we'll say. But a lovely car, really nice, really pretty car, and no problem with TSI engines. They've been very good. The 1.4, the new 1.5, which is a reboard 1.4. They're all really good. The 2 litre is really good as well. G-Monster. Hey Bob, what's your thoughts on a new Dacia Duster? We've had this conversation before. If you're coming out of a 10-year-old car into a Dacia Duster from today, you're going to love it for a while. There's a reason why the Dacia Duster is the country's most affordable car. It's the way it's built, right? It's the things it's made from. I hate to use the word cheap, because cheap is a subjective word. So what's cheap to me is not necessarily cheap to you, or what's expensive to me is not necessarily expensive to you. So I don't like to use the word cheap, but that's basically where Dacia trade, right? They don't put much in, but you get everything. So you get sat-nav, but it's not very good sat-nav. You get air conditioners, there's the button. So you get everything you wanted, but it's just, like I say, if you're coming out of an old car, you're going to love it. If you're coming out of something fairly modern, you're going to get in and go, wow, this isn't really good. But that's what Renault's for. So that's where, if you're coming out of something fairly modern, you move into a Renault. If you're coming out of something fairly old, you move into a Dacia. They're good cars. They're honest cars. The 4x4 is a genuine, real 4x4, but I don't know if you're going to love it or not. That's the only thing. Alan with 2 L's. Which is better, T-Roc or Rona? Have seen the videos of T-Roc interior quality similar to Rona. It is. I can't say wiser than that. Really, they're basically the same looking car. The badge is different. The front exteriors look all different, but interior-wise, you won't notice it that much. Say I'd have a slightly worse steering wheel. It's not terrible. It's about the best thing can come up with. It's kind of thinner, and I don't really like it. Click the like button. Go on. 2 likes and we're at 100. Go on. There must be 2 new people just joined us in the last couple of seconds who can click the like button. Bob, when are you testing Lexus RX 450h? That is a bloody good question. I can't remember. Sometime next month, I think. I think it's next month or the month after. I can't remember. But I'm testing that thing that looks like a spaceship. Looks great, actually, in fairness to it. I might ask, because Casey Neistat is coming to Ireland again, but now it won't be cancelled, seemingly, for the digital conference thing. And I might ask him if he wants to make a video with me while he's here in that car and just see if that's a freak out thing. But maybe, I don't know. Now, VW producer T-Rock, is there a market for the Golf SV? SV never really went well in Ireland. Never really sold here. I don't know why. It was actually an alright car. It wouldn't be something I would choose, but it wasn't bad. The Lynx Lizard says, hi Bob, just wondered what do you think of the Cactus C4 Cactus? Really, that's a nice car. I loved Cactus when it was coming out. The French gearbox is absolutely rubbish. Rubbish. And I've said this a million times. That vague French 5-speed box that they put in over here is rubbish. Buy the one with a 6-speed box that's made by BMW, I think. It's a ZF gearbox, as far as I know. But it's got 6 speeds in it, and it's tight as a nut. Beautiful thing to drive. Do not buy the robotized automatic thing. That'll just make you sick. You'll be seasick in 5 minutes, without a doubt. But other than that, the manual 6-speed box C4 Cactus is a lovely car, really pleasant, good spacious interior, incredible textures inside. Feels like an art installation when you're driving around it. It's a really nice car. Enjoyed that. We have never had as many consecutive viewers as we have today. It hasn't dropped below 90 or 95 people for the last 50 minutes, which we've been running. But it'd be great if you just click the like button. You can click the subscribe button if you've never seen this video before. It happens every Sunday. You can ask all the questions you like about any topic you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be cars, but it usually is cars, to be honest with you. You can also support this channel by clicking the PayPal link down below. It'd be great if you could support us. Any amount of money is fabulous. Patreon, PayPal, cryptocurrency, Super Chat, any of those things, any amount of money is always brilliant to put it towards the Sunday service and what we do here. But at least click the like button and the subscribe button would be great. Zedringo with a Z. Say it, Leon question. The reason I wouldn't go for a Cupra is because here Cupra is 29 grand and Leon FR 184 brake horsepower essentially is a Golf GTD is 20 grand. So yeah, about 8 grand the difference. With lots cheaper, especially for outright buy. Yeah, I suppose you're right. I know Cooper gets an awful lot more gubbins underneath and it does get a limited slip differential in it as well, which makes it a big difference in the car. It's that magic one as well that it gets, which is absolutely brilliant as standard. But it is a considerable difference in price, all right, yes, definitely. So then by the FR, 184 brake horsepower, okay. Gavin asked 2 questions, but on 2 different questions. I like it. Hi Bob, couple of questions. Have you ever considered reviewing commercial vehicles, i.e. vans, cars, vans? I don't have a commercial truck license, although I can do vans and things. I have done some vans. There's just not enough space in my calendar, I don't think, really. There's so many cars that I need to get done as cars to review that it's very hard to try and fit in the vans in there somewhere as well. Plus, what do you say? This is a big thing. You put lots of stuff in it, and here's a cabin. That's kind of it. But I wouldn't mind doing a van or two. I have talked to Volkswagen commercials about doing the new Crafter, which I quite like to look at, but I'm not too sure on my license coverage or not. And Transporter and things. So, you know, I could probably do a van or two. I might do a van month or something. But I specialise in passenger cars. I need to get some pallets and stuff to make an interesting video. Second question from Gavin says, did you ever get a pair of Bluetooth headphones? Love the channel, Twitter and Instagram. Good man, Gavin is on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter as well. Just look for Bob Flavin. Bluetooth headphones, I have for running. I haven't. No, I have funny ears, so my jaw isn't in the right place. So it should be more forward than it is. So what happens is when I close my jaw bone goes inside my ears, kind of just in here. So if I don't wear the right headphones to get out, so Apple headphones don't fit. I have to tape them in. I had to use Apple headphones recently. I used some duct tape over my ears to keep them tucked in. So I don't really use Bluetooth headphones. I've never found one that fitted me perfectly well. I had a pair of Sony headphones which were wired, which had those little rubber cups over the top of them. They worked very well, in fairness to them, but I haven't really tried Bluetooth headphones. Bluetooth works really well in the car, but I'm not too sure, as I prefer sort of things I don't have to worry about charging, and I hate charging everything out, plugging things in, and like you should see me. I on the Instagram last week when I was in Finland, one of the lads commented because I was doing a story in my hotel room and I turned the camera and pointed at the table and it was just tons of things charging. There was just like a sea of things plugged into a multi-socket. I bring a multi-socket wherever I can go. and I had like a drone, and I had 3 batteries, and I had my phone, and I had something else. All these things were charging. So a pair of Bluetooth headphones would just be something else I'd have to charge, and I'd probably lose them anyway. I prefer the kind of wired headphones. I don't have to think about them. Just plug them in and away they go. Stuart Derry says, good afternoon, Bob. What are your thoughts on the Lexus IS 250 over the 220 diesel, 2010 year? I love the new 250 petrol. I do 10,000 miles a year. 10,000 miles a year is about 16,000 kilometers. You are under the diesel mark to make profit on a diesel. You're under that point. And be very careful in Ireland. Right now, the government are already kite flying with the help of the ERSI and the help of RTE.ie and George Lee. They are helping to fly the kites to up the price of diesel, and they will do it for the next budget. Absolutely, they are kite flying already to see if they can do it. They're going to try and do what they're doing in the north right now, where petrol and diesel are the same price at the pumps. But what the north did, or what Britain did, was to lower slightly the price of petrol and up slightly the price of diesel, so they met in the middle anyway. Irish government's not going to do that. They're just going to go, diesel goes to this price now. It's the CO2. We're going to save 10,000 lives a year, and the lives of our children will not be killed by diesel anymore. That's absolute horseshit. It won't. It's a money grab. It's a cash grab. They're after your money again. You have to oppose this on all possible fronts. They don't put enough VAT on diesel. Diesel has always been giving a free ride here in Ireland. Business people can claim back the VAT on every litre of diesel they put in their cars, and now the government are going to up the price, and they can still claim back the VAT. They will give special benefits to people who drive, I'm sure, and commercial organisations and truckers and all that sort of stuff. But you, the taxpayer, is going to get ripped off once again in this country. But you, under your 10,000 miles a year, you are on the very cusp of where diesel starts to earn its keep. The IS 250 is a far nicer, cruisier car to drive, and you will, if you get the hybrid one even, you're going to be in that point where you will save money no matter which one you pick. But I would try at the moment to stay away from diesel where I could. JP O'Rourke, welcome to the channel, my friend. Hi Bob, I am in my mid-50s, single. Ooh, you lucky. Oh, sorry. I love my kids. Looking for a car to suit me, my budget. Late 30s, early 40s, not a family type car. Is there any out there that would suit my age, sporty type? Depends if you want back seats or not. How sporty do you want to get? Like, you could go Mazda MX-5, you go Fiat 12, what number is that? 127 or something? Whatever it is, that little Fiat versus the MX-5 version. Very cool cars, completely impractical, but really cool cars, and cost you basically nothing to run on a daily basis. It's a tiny little petrol engine. They whiz along. They're very economical, very comfortable, totally sporty, but absolutely totally impractical. You fit nothing at all in the boot, and there's no back seats. If you want something on the other end of sporty, what about something like a Volkswagen Golf R? It's 4-wheel drive, really powerful, makes a great noise if you adapt the exhaust. Really get expensive, go up to Audi RS3, one of my all-time top-hitting favourite cars in the world currently. The Audi RS3 has completely obliterated the BMW 6 Series Grand Coupe that I used to have my top of my list. There's so many good cars out there in the performance category, but it depends on that budget. It depends just how much money you want to spend on that sort of thing, and how long you're going to spend money for, because once you buy a performance car, they continue to cost a lot of money in petrol, in tires, in maintenance. Everything goes up in performance cars. So, but you've got a great list of things that there you can go for. I would probably, I know your budget late 30s, early 40s, but I would probably go in for the Volkswagen Golf R, or a Seat Leon Cupra. What else would be out there in that kind of range? There's very little else in that kind of performance that you're going to actually get that performance for. Maybe something like a Golf GTI. There's a few little cars in that kind of price range as well. Matthew Longman says, hi Bob, currently driving an E-Class E250 and looking at a Volvo V90. Don't even think, just change, because that E-Class is... will be impressed by performance. Yes, you will, but just get out of that E-Class, because it's an E250 and you will not know yourself. Now, the only thing is, all the controls change. Sorry, that's Mercedes' fault rather than anybody else's fault. Everywhere you had that one stalk on the side, you just turn on the wipers and you up and down for the indicator. That's all gone. It's all on different sides. But you will be definitely impressed with performance. V90 is a far nicer car to drive than the E-Class, but E-Class, in the right guise, is a car I voted for the Irish Car of the Year a couple of years ago. It is a very nice car, but just not up to the game of Volvo at the moment. Terry Malloy, Bob, Peugeot 207, 1.6 litre diesel, 2012, good or bad? I'm buying north of the border. Oh, never going over the border. Oh, well, look, if it's cheap up there, it's cheap up there. Nothing I can do about it. Peugeot 207. Let me wrap my head around. Let the matrix now inside my head. 207. Yeah, that's a good car. I like the 207. I didn't particularly like the boot space. It's an odd shape. There's a bit of a step down into it, but it's a good, honest car. Boot space, again, still a bit tight in the back. The rest of the car is fine. 1.6 litre diesel is an old engine for Peugeot, and in that respect, it's good. Don't think old is bad when it comes to engines. Old is not bad, because if it's old, it's survived. If it survives, it's good. So the 1.6 litre diesel has been around for a long time for Peugeot, and it's a good, honest engine. Just check that it's got a proper history. Do not play with that history thing, folks. If you're buying overseas, even if you're buying in Ireland, go on to something like, I'm not promoting one over the other, but go to CarZone or go to one of those, not CarZone, what's it called? Motor Check or whatever it's called out there. Go to one of them, pay the 30 quid or whatever it costs to get the car history checked, and be sure of what you're buying before you buy it. You will not, I promise you, no matter what any of these UK or even Irish dealers tell you that they're going to warranty this, warranty that, don't believe a word of it, because when it comes down to the crunch, it'll be your word against theirs. So do your research before you buy anything. JR says, recently bought the exact VW CC that you reviewed a few years ago. I love the car so far. The exact one, the one that's actually in the video. Cool, man, because that's a cool car. And I drove that, so it should be worth more. Absolutely, it's worth a fortune to you. You know, when Bob drives a car, like, everybody wants it. Click that like button, please. It'd be brilliant. That's the most amount of likes I think we've ever had. But huge, still, like, there is currently, this moment, 91 people watching this video, and that has remained consistent since we started, which I quite love. The amount of people who told me that you'll never get that. No one ever watches any more than 10 minutes of a YouTube channel. Yeah, they're still here. Could you do more motorway drives? I live in Germany, and anything is okay under 100 kilometers an hour. Could I do more motorway drives? I try to motorway all the time. I live in Germany, and anything is okay under 100. I know what you mean. Okay, so in Germany, I've driven in Germany autobahns. I've driven very, very fast on autobahns. It's terrible, but it's great. It is good fun. I know what you mean. The reason Germans' cars tend to be more economical when they go fast, and they also tend to feel more solid when you're driving quickly, is because almost all the development of a German car is about traveling fast on the Autobahn. That's traveling at unlimited speed. Not every car company tests like that, although Fiat do, because I did see a few Fiats on the motorway. Where is this like button? All I can see is the bell type. Like, it's a little thumb. It looks like this. Click that underneath the video. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button. If you want to click the bell button, you can as well, which that just gives you a notification on your devices that I've uploaded a video or that this has gone live. You can support the channel in a financial way underneath the video here. You can go for PayPal or you can go for Super Chat, which one of our lovely patrons has already done. Connor, thank you very much. And PayPal is vitally important for your support to continue this channel growth that is going on this year, which has been astronomical since the beginning of the year. European type license B category covers anything up to 3.5 tons gross weight and 9 seats. Yes, you're right. But not necessarily insurance. Insurance, it's just because you have a license for it doesn't mean you're insured to do it. Barry, what do you think of the Focus RS newer model? I know they cost a small fortune, but it's worth buying one. There is a review of the Focus RS on my channel, and I adore it. It is the best car Ford make, apart from the 5-litre Mustang. But the Ford Focus RS is the best car Ford has made in years, but the interior lets it down. The sat-nav and the connectivity and things do tend to let it down against the Ford Focus or against the Volkswagen or Golf R. So the Golf R interior is a nicer thing than the Ford Focus RS, but the noise that the Ford Focus RS absolutely makes up for the difference between the two. But they are both toys, and very expensive toys. The Hyundai i30N and the Kia Stinger are making me seriously consider Korean cars. They think they needed to be cheaper to compete at the moment, though. The Kia Stinger, I've driven that Phenomenal yoke. It is a GT cruiser. It is not a fast straight line car that you drive around town. It actually feels like a big substantial BMW 4 Series, kind of 5, 6 Series, something like that. Feels like that kind of car. Phenomenal engine in the 3.3 litre petrol. You can buy it in a 2 litre diesel. I wouldn't, but you can. Very pretty cars. I don't know, i30N, I haven't driven it. It's here in Ireland. I've seen a couple of other reviewers review the car. I don't know. Is there a place for that kind of car here? It's nice when they bring it, but I don't know whether they will bring it or not. There's Phil Huff. See Phil Huff there. If you look down to the channel there, you see another guy called Phil Huff. Phil Huff is a mate of mine. He's an English UK journalist and is one of the coolest guys to go on an international trip with. Made me laugh on many occasions. Where were we? Right, Joe Lyons bringing the new S5 January 19. Friend got his England this year, paying 35 grand less for the same spec. Really can't figure out why we can't buy on the continent and bring to Ireland. VRT is simply VRT. That's exactly there. You've answered your question there, Joe. That's why you can't buy on the continent. Protectionism, it's called. Protectionism of the Irish car industry. They're terrified here of everybody leaving Ireland in droves and going over to Holland and France and buying other cars there and driving them back here. They're absolutely terrified of it. In actual fact, it probably won't happen, but they're still terrified of it. It's funny when you see, especially when I go overseas and I'm, you're testing a car that's being launched in Spain and you see the price on the big billboard in Spain and they're telling you the Irish price, they're going, but that's like 10 grand cheaper over there. It's funny, but it's not funny when you're paying the price over here, in fairness to it. But we do start to get the same spec here. The more expensive the car to begin with, particularly something like an S5 or an RS3 or something like that, you will see a remarkable difference in price when it comes to the taxes. Do you sometimes find that the road signs are not enough at a dangerous point? It was like this where I live, but it changed a bit to the better. Road signs are a funny thing across Europe. They're pretty industry standard, and as Phil will tell you, and I'll tell you as well, Phil Huff, it's pretty easy. When you're driven in any one of the European countries for even a short period of time, and you start to go into some of the other countries in Europe, the signs are all basically the same. The language changes, but the signs remain the same. So the road signs telling you where to go can be unreadable depending on what country you're in. But often they're very, very tidy and very the same as everywhere else. But the problem is when you're already confused and you're driving on the road, you're trying to see every sign, you should just pull over. Setting a sat nav and stuff can often get you into desperate trouble. So be very careful with road signs and how you're picking them out, which one you're going to follow and how you're going to get there. Sometimes someone driving at 5 miles an hour, staring at all the signs, is the biggest distraction you've ever seen. Matthew Lama says, thanks, Bob. Keep up the good work. No problem, Matthew. Bob, have you tested a new Jag F-Type 2 litre yet? No, I haven't. It's about 30 grand less than the 3 litre V6, and it'll be 30 grand less of the entertainment. I guarantee it. Looks ideal for Ireland. Ideal if you're a cheapskate. Generally speaking, the F-Type is a particular kind of car. And if you are in the market for an F-Type and you want it to be the smaller engined, cheaper thing to run, buy a Mazda MX-5. All your questions are answered straight away. You're not driving a Jag. You're driving something that's going to be much more reliable, much more up to date, super cool, and still give you all about the same performance. So I would run away from a 2 litre Jaguar F-Type. But if you're going to plump for F-Type and you buy the V6 and you buy the proper noisy one, you're absolutely sorted. It's the only car in the market. Richard O'Connor says, hi Bob, love the live stream for the first time tuning in. Thanks very much for joining us, Richard. You too can join too. Click subscribe. I'm currently in a Yaris 2012 CVT. God help you, CVT 1.3. But looking to get a Vauxhall Astra GTC 1.4 turbo. Just wondering if it's a good car. Astra is the best car that Opel has made in years now. Years. Astra has been the one that's outstanding out of the group. Mainly because it's like the everyman car. It can do anything you want it to do. It doesn't do anything extraordinarily well, but it does pretty much everything that any other car can do and does it at a reasonable price. The 1.4 turbo engine they've got is a good engine, solid thing, seems to be pretty good. But again, I don't test long term, so I don't have a car for 12 months outside the door to tell you what it's going to be like in 12 months' time, but that wouldn't stop me buying one, I'll say. You will be thrilled to get, you just won't notice yourself getting out of a CVT into a GTC. Now, beware that you're in a CVT, which is an automatic. So if you're going to buy an automatic with a 1.4, I haven't tested that, but I have tested the manual one in a 6-speed box, and it's lovely. I would say if you can negotiate with your dealer to take one of these Astras for a weekend, it's always a good trick. Go in and go, listen, I'm on the borderline. Give me the end of the car for a weekend, and yeah, decide then at the end of the weekend. And then just drive it around for the rest of the weekend and see if you still like it on Monday. Mark, I can't pronounce your last name, but hi Bob, love this. I was thinking about getting a new Golf GTI, but now I think the new Polo GTI might be worth waiting for. What do you think? That's a tough one, because the Polo GTI has always been like a unicorn car out there, the original one. And the Lupo GTI is more so of a unicorn car. The new Polo GTI won't be a unicorn car at all. There'll be plenty of them. Everyone's going to have one. And there's also an Up GTI on the way, but it's not a full GTI. It's not the full kind of lunatic, I'm going to tear my own tires off. It's just, it's like a fast version of the Up. But I would still suggest that the Golf GTI will be the classic one to have, and the one that requires no explanation. When you sit down at the pub, you know, and you're having a chat with your friends, I drive a Golf GTI, is like, wow, I don't need to explain that. That's what I drive. Stop asking me questions. But if you say a Polo GTI, you're going to have to answer the question of why you didn't buy the Golf. So it's like if I had a cool wall, the Polo would be on one end and the Golf GTI would be on the other. JP O'Rourke, sorry, top like, not oh, like, yeah, no, it's the like LIKE button. Click that. Paddy Common, yes, I did mention. Paddy Common's here. Did I mention e-golf coming up? I did. Yes, for those who just joined us, this is the biggest live stream we've had so far. Humongous today. The next week, for the next couple of weeks at least, I'm going to be testing an e-golf, an all-electric car, all the time, on the daily run, dropping the kids to school, going shopping, going away on the weekends, going out for days out, all that stuff. And I'm going to record the mileage, the charge time, how much it costs, where I charge, how easy it is, you know, the usual things that are very important for car ownership. And I'm going to try and learn this new language, or more current language of electric cars, rather than talking about MPG or talking about kilowatt hours and all that sort of stuff, and try and make sense of it over the next couple of weeks. So make sure you subscribe on the channel, because that is going to be very busy over the next couple of weeks. But it's all about the e-golf and electric car ownership. My wife's going to drive it, the kids are going to be in it, we're going to use it as our car on a daily basis. So we're going to see if it makes financial sense, and if you just would like having an electric car. Nick, I can't pronounce your name. Hi Bob, considering going from a 2016 Audi A4 190 horsepower TDI Quattro, my God, that's a mouthful, to a 2013 BMW 120 diesel, financial reasons, will it be a huge step down? Yes. I never liked the BMW 1 Series. It's a weird car. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why. It just never made sense for me. It has a funny sort of a hairdressery feel about it. So I never liked it in that respect. It never clicked with me. And you always have one. Everybody has one of those cars. But the 1 Series has been one that never clicked with me properly. Audi A4 is a lovely car. A bit tight in the back seat. Better in its estate form than it is in the kind of saloon form. But you will see a big difference between the two of those. Li Zhu Jing, what do you think of these two cars? A 1 Series and Focus ST? That's gas. How the next question from a totally random person is about 1 Series again. Buy the Focus ST, actually buy the Focus RS, or the Golf R, those kind of cars, not Focus ST. 1 Series is a crazy car. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Looking forward to the upcoming EV longer term test. Should make some interesting Instagram stories. There'll be tons of those, trust me, which I really like. Are you going to do some longer journeys with it as well? Yes, I have plans to do a couple of kind of every Saturday, me and the kids and the wife, we go somewhere. So like yesterday we went to Sleep Blue Mountains and did a walk, like a 10k walk around the edge of it. And so we go to places that don't have a charge point, which is usually what happens on a Saturday. Sometimes we go to a place like Bray where there will be one, but that's part of the adventure. That's part of ownership. So let's see if it can cope with that. Hopefully, what I'm hoping to do is dispel the kind of yes man of fully charged show, which is Bobby Llewellyn. He's a convert to electric, and I'm trying to dispel his everything will be fine. It's just an electric car. He has a couple of million to spend on electric cars. He should be okay. But for the ordinary person, can you actually change over electric cars? And of course, Volkswagen have put it out the the stops to make sure that electric cars are here. So they're here, they're done. Joe Lyons, on a totally different note, it's February, nearly March, and you still have the poinsettia in the house. It's still alive. Look at the poinsettia, still going. Jeez, you're worse than Zig and Zag with the Christmas tree at Easter. Well, it's still alive. I'm not going to kill it. There you are. Paddy Collins answered your question. Are cheaper DSG as standard great chassis on the Polo GTI? Now, see, GTIs are here, guys. GTIs are serious cars. Polo GTI, I'll be driving it soon, according to Paddy. He's telling me, Paddy sorts out all this stuff for me. I'll be driving the Polo GTI fairly shortly once it arrives in Ireland. We get a good spin in it then. But I've always loved GTI. I think GTI is just a cool, classic name. There's always going to be debate who invented the GTI segment, but I still, first love is always going to be Volkswagen Golf GTI, but it's a fabulous car. Oh, by the way, I have a documentary coming up about Volkswagen in Ireland. That is on the way. That is going to be filmed in the next couple of weeks. Richard O'Connor. Hi, thanks for the help, Bob. Just wondering if you can test drive the car when you're 18 and full license. If you can test drive a car when you are 18 with a full license, yeah, of course. The open policy of a dealership generally covers any driver once they're fully licensed. That's 99%. And usually the salesperson can go with you anyway, even if you're not fully licensed. So it shouldn't be a big problem for that. Go back up again, hold on. And the Polo GTI will be driven soon. The Golf GTI will be driven soon as well. There's loads of stuff coming out, and the e-Golf is next week. So just make sure you're subscribed here on the channel and on Instagram. Go over to Instagram and look for Bob Flavin there, because there's going to be loads of Instagram stories about the electric car. My charge point, which I already have installed in the garage, is there too. So we're going to talk about charging, discharging, use, frozen mornings, what it's like to drive, does the heater work, all those questions that people have put up. And I know tons of you, since I've talked about this on Instagram, and since I've talked about it here last week as well, tons of you sent me electric car questions. I'm going to answer all of those about how to charge, what to do, where to go, how to get there. So that's all part of it as well. So if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. Email them to me, bobflav@thenextgear.com. You will see this come out as a podcast as well. It's on iTunes. It'll be out sometime next week. There's loads put up there at the moment. There's 26 hours or something of these things to put out first, so they all have to go out. Dermot Walsh says, Skoda Rapid, 30,000 kilometers per year. Most trips are 15 to 20 kilometers, then once a week, 100 kilometers. 2014 or thereabouts, my wife puts 300,000 kilometers on her 05 C-Max and is now driving an 09 C-Max just to fancy a change. Are you asking me, should you buy a Skoda Rapid, or you want to buy a Skoda Rapid? Not wrong with a Skoda Rapid, a lovely car. Generally speaking, I would say the Rapid would be more suited to a petrol engine. 30,000 kilometers a year would easily put you inside the diesel territory, so you're going to have to go the diesel route. Plenty of cars to choose from in that kind of range when you're looking at that area. Volkswagen Golf, Skoda Octavia, it would be two that springs to mind really easily off the tongue. There's tons more in that segment though. But if your standard trip is 15 to 20 kilometers and then once a week is 100 kilometers, electric. If you're doing 30,000 kilometers average per year, diesel. But it's hard to work you out there, because like that kind of mileage isn't going to be an electric car or anything else. Come back again. Tell me, is that 30,000 kilometers a year you're going to be traveling, or is it going to be 15 to 20 kilometers per trip, which is electric? Kieran, hi Bob, I was looking for the Octavia VRS and diesel. I have that Monday, I think. 184 brake horsepower. Would you go for the DSG or the manual in this €2,500? The difference, I don't mind. I would go DSG. I would recommend DSG over any gearbox at the moment. DSG is an amazing, simple, straightforward gearbox that works really well in basically every situation. I have it in the Skoda Karoq outside the door at the moment. It's just a lovely thing. You never get tired, you never get bored, especially if you have active cruise control on the car as well. Really makes it so simple for you to live with and own that kind of car. Manual cars are great in that they do better fuel economy, not by much, but a little bit better fuel economy, and it can be easier to live with because you can up your revs and down your revs and do everything else on it. But in city traffic, in current traffic conditions, a manual gearbox can be a pain in the hole, right? Let's be serious, it can be. When you really don't want it to be, it can be. So pick your weapon very carefully. But $2,500, what would you do with $2,500 if you didn't spend it on a DSG? Think about that one as well. That's more than a family holiday a week away in France. Rob Cousins, looking forward to seeing you review the new Audi A7. That could be a long way off yet. Looks very modern. Will be good to hear about your thoughts on too large touchscreen replacing the buttons. I think it's dangerous. I'm not a big fan of touchscreens. They're a pain. They can be an awful thing. Very distracting. That Skoda Karoq I have has touchscreen plus and minus on the volume. It's hard to hit, lads. It's really hard to keep your finger. Not as a driver, even as a passenger, it's hard to do that. At least Volkswagen kept the knob part still there, and it worked perfectly. Up GTI car, the Paddy Common is being considered for Ireland. Not necessarily coming to Ireland, but it is being considered to come to Ireland. I'd love to see Up GTI. It's a crazy looking car. Perfect. Now you see, you heard there's exclusive content coming straight from the Sunday service via Paddy Common. You heard it here first. The Up GTI is being considered for Ireland. I think it'd be a great car. But then I love a small car that has to work at 100% of its effort to go anywhere. I'm mad into that. The Up would be one of my favourite small cars anyway. And Up GTI would just be... Can you imagine Up GTI with a paddle shift gearbox? Like, that'd be deadly. It'd just be fun. Have you tried the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross? No, I have that in a couple of weeks' time. I haven't tried it. The name frightens me. It makes no sense. Eclipse Cross. You're eclipsing the moon, sun, what crossover? Is it a crossover? I kind of like the FEV thing they did the first time out, which is kind of nice. Outlander FEV, was it? The Eclipse Cross looks cool, but only in the one colour. If you made it a silver car, it wouldn't look half as cool. Hi Bob. I know every reviewer thinks the VW Golf is a great car. I had one before, new, and it gave me nothing but trouble. Do you think it's such a good, bland, boring car to look at, Jared? See, it depends, Jared. I think it very much depends on your point of view. I think 80 to 90% of happy ownership is looking out the window at a car and going, that's a cool car. Or driving on a road and you see yourself in a big window as you're passing by and go, I look cool in that car. I think that's nearly 90% of ownership. But the other 10% or 15% of ownership is running costs and service costs and tyres and all the usual crap that go with it. The same applies for Volkswagen Golf. It is a ubiquitous car. It is a classless car. So you can be doctors own it, but then ordinary Joe Soaps who have no money own a Golf as well, and they're all happy with it. So when you sell a lot of cars, it's very hard to make them all perfect every single time, and sometimes you just get some problems with them. That can happen. It is unfortunate, but you know, it's a different story these days when you look at what Volkswagen have been doing with the Golf and the e-Golf and the GTI Golf and the Golf R and all these different kind of brands or sub-brands of the same thing. Brilliant system. Robert O'Connor says, Bob, do you think that the new Honda is a competitor to the VAG group? Honda has been for years an over-engineered, really cool car. The new Honda Civic, just the look of the thing, I could not look at that car every day. No matter the remarkable colour, the cool colours, whatever you want to do, I just couldn't look out the window at that car and go, that's a cool car. I don't think that could ever happen. So it's because that's a polarizing shift. Honda's going to have to rely on performance, or they're going to have to rely on selling the car cheaply, and neither of which Honda's able to do really well, because no one's going to buy a Honda Type R. It's a great car, but it's not going to be a competitor to the VAG group, not in Ireland, probably not in Europe either, because Honda don't tend to make European style cars too much. Simon Edwards, we love our Skoda Yeti. Skoda Yeti, great car. And our lease. If you haven't seen the Skoda Yeti video with myself and Sinead McCann, I was going to point up here in the corner because I normally do that in the video, saying it'd be a thing, but there won't be a thing. It's the last version of the car, last videos you can have. Where were we? Go up, or do go Jara. I don't know what that means. Or for extra 2 years. Audi A6 2015 2-litre TDI 190 bhp Ireland 58,000 kilometers. Is it worth buying as a used car? Audi A6 is always worth buying. It's 2-litre TDI. I would prefer to see you getting into an automatic version or DSG version of that car. It will be worth more on the way back out of it again. The manual ones don't sell as well, particularly when you go from A6 onwards. Manual is not a car I would recommend getting in any of those cars, no matter which one it is, whether it's Audi, BMW or Mercedes. Automatic all the way, they just sell better. But 2015 with 58,000 kilometers for 4 years, yeah, it's okay. 58,000 kilometers, fine. 2-litre TDI, 190. It's a good car. If you want to see what diesel cars are good, ask and check the taxi drivers. Nah, that doesn't work out. The taxi drivers drive cars for all kinds of reasons. None of them include its performance. All of them are about fuel economy, how much it costs to begin with, whether it's acceptable as a diesel car or a taxi. In the first place, you need to have certain cars as taxis. Taxi drivers don't know much about cars. Sorry, taxi drivers, if you're watching, but you generally don't know much about cars. You only know a little bit about the car that they're actually in. Andy McAfee, welcome. About time, first question. Where you been? What's your story? Despite saying I wouldn't make it this week in between runs and managed to pop in a little bit late, like an all account being dished out now. Good man, Andy McAfee, I like it. I like knobs, says Joe. We won't discuss it any further, Joe. But seriously, having 100% touchscreen, so many negatives. The scratches on the full touch will drive me mad. Sometimes they would stop over-engineering tech to keep the knob. There's certain kinds of knobs on a car that work very well. One is air conditioning, or the air system generated inside the car. The other one is a volume control, right? It's just very straightforward. Just the volume knob up, down, or off and on if you want to have the clicky thing to the very end. They're pretty straightforward things, and we've had them for so long. Changing it now is a big deal. Peugeot tried to move the air conditioning system into the touchscreen. Disaster. I hated it. And as much as they tried to convince me it was a good idea, I still hated it and will continue to hate the thing right now because I don't want it in there. I don't want to hit the buttons twice or 3 times or once or 2. I just want to turn the thing. Yeah, we need to start a Save the Knob campaign, says John Keats. We definitely need to do that. There you go. Hit me up on that one. Save the Knobs. We're going to start a whole new campaign to stop this knob jockey stuff running away with us. Where were we? This is very informative and interesting. Way to spend a few hours. Thanks, good man, John Keats. Love to have you here. You learn so much from this. I spent the last 7 years, or at least the last 3 years anyway, building a community within this frame. And the Sunday service, which started I think last year, middle of last year or something, early last year, was something that I wanted to do along this live chat where you get to ask any questions you want, but also you find that some of the users ask each other's questions in the middle of this as well. And it's a wonderful way to get to know the people who are into cars out there, and they're on YouTube. So it's all there, I can't pronounce your name at all. Looks like Asbo Tango, but DSG or manual depends on the car. Test drove a Golf or manual, and it was a DSG version. If you buy the manual version, you'd be mad. DSG turns Golf R into a supercar. Correct and true. You hit that R button in the thing, and you put it into launch control, and 4.9 seconds or something to 100 kilometers an hour in a Golf R, and this is a 5-door hatchback. And take it out of the R mode, and you can drive the kids to school and drive your granny home from hospital if you like, and no one's going to notice anything other than it's a Golf. DS says, I meant to say, Mrs. DS has sent on your hat and cowl in the post. Hope you get it okay. Keep an eye out for that. You're very good. Send me stuff. Would be perfect for the VRS video as she drives one. Mighty machine. Thanks, Bob. See you next Sunday. Thank you very much, Mrs. DS. It's very good you send me on a hat and a cowl. I'll wear it with pride. John Keats. We need a Save the Knob. Oh, I did that one. True, we might need some help with the terminology. Yeah, I think you leave Save the Knob and put a big rainbow over the top of it now. That'd be brilliant. Taxi drivers only worry about how easy it is to clean the vomit off the seats. That's pretty much... They have different reasons for loving cars. Most taxi drivers don't love cars. Most taxi drivers keep their car really clean because it's important to a user get into a car. They worry about fuel economy. They worry about comfort. They worry about being able to drill holes in dashboards for radios and all that sort of stuff. That's what they really worry about. They don't really worry about the performance of a car, or, you can look at how many taxi drivers own the Skoda Octavia or own whatever it is. But often cars are discounted. So taxi drivers can't have, is it a Golf or something? Anyway, one of the other VW cars that looks like an Octavia, they can't have one because it's just not allowed. It's not big enough to backseat or some crap. Johnny Be Good, although your reviews are great, Bob, the Sunday service was such a great way to go giving your opinion on a car. you asked about and the ideal advice to go with it. We'll definitely donate come payday. Thanks very much, Johnny Be Good. You're very good. You're very be good. I'd like to have you here. I thought you were going to start slagging off Sunday service there, which is always welcome. You can slag it off as well, it's fine. I've even got all sorts of other journalists here now all of a sudden messaging me out of nowhere, which is deadly. If it's your first time here, make sure you click the like button. Click the subscribe button. They're both down there if you've never seen this before. There's a little bell if you want to do, it'll pop up on your screen whenever I do a live video. Subscribe over on Instagram. Instagram is a great way of getting in touch with me because I answer all the questions there and I do live stories and you get to see what car I'm picking up and what car is coming around. I picked up the Golf on Tuesday, I think the e-Golf on Tuesday. So it's really busy and it all comes out on Instagram first usually because it's live stories there. So you can get that straight off and you can also support this financially. You can support this live stream. There are links below for PayPal, which loads of you donate. You're very good. What's the other one called? Patreon. And then there's cryptocurrency. You can use cryptocurrency or you can use a super chat here as well, as some of you have done today. You're very nice. Thank you very much. What car brands are dying in Ireland and not moving with the times in terms of design or not making more petrol engines, etc.? There isn't really any of them in that respect. There's ones that are on the bottom of the sales charts but have always been there, like Fiat or, Alfa Romeo. It's not that they haven't moved on, it's just their brand as a brand. They're not spending in the right way or they're not improving their brand awareness by doing the right things or by brand trust and brand awareness and things, but there's no real car brands that are just sitting in the doldrums not doing anything about their lot. Some of them spend a lot of money. The ones who spend the most amount of money are generally in the top 10. The ones that spend the most amount and putting their voice in the right place. So put not just spending money willy-nilly all over the place, but putting that money to work and making it work in a marketing sense, in a digital sense, and spending money on things like Instagram or posts or videos or whatever it is. They're doing the right thing and they're putting their name out there in the right way. The ones that don't have enough money are generally on the bottom of the list in the top 10, but some of them are actually kind of happy to be there, or were, like Subaru, who used to be happy to just sell a few cars every year, but have now been bought out by UK people who own Citroen in Ireland, have bought out Subaru, and that's going to muddy the water for Subaru at the moment. So they keep asking me to test their cars. I really must book in a Subaru. I haven't booked in a Subaru yet. Sorry, do we keep our Yeti for another 2 years or on an extended lease, or do we lease the new Carla? You're on a lease. That's a difficult one to take. I wouldn't at the moment, if you're leasing a Yeti, I would get rid of the Yeti because the Yeti is gone, doesn't exist anymore. The Karoq is here. So I would flip over to the Karoq shortly. Don't hang about too long with that one because it's a lease car and the lease company will not want to see a Yeti come in 2 years' time. They want it out of the way now. Andy McAfee says a massive 1.6 TDI, Skoda Superb taxi fleet in Belfast. Skoda do well with specific deals for private hire and fleet markets. Mark 1 Octavia was made for these markets alongside Mark 2 until 2009 and such. Same as the Superb, sort well for taxi stuff as well. Joe Lyon says he did have a spin in the Tesla the other week and the touchscreen was broke apparently. Great. It cost £1,800 or euro to replace, and having something that big is with the kids could be very costly. Ooh, have you looked at the build quality of a Tesla? I hope you all have looked at the build. You're all whole Tesla. Oh my God, look at Elon Musk. He's such a cool dude, and the Tesla are so brilliant. And then you look at the build quality and shut lines and the plastic connections and the way the screen all fits together. It's terrible build quality. Really is. I don't know why people such make a big thing about Tesla. Tesla are an IT company that make cars. And so the car drives like a PlayStation car, which is okay. I can live with that. I see what they're at. I know where they're going. But they really need an automotive engineer or a few journalists even, just in their cars, giving them a proper criticism instead of giving them out to yes men, which is what they do usually. They give out their press cards to people who will be agreeable to the Tesla brand. And it will say things like, Tesla's great, and I bought a Tesla. I liked it so much I ordered one, forgetting about the fact that they're millionaires. You should... Tesla, look, once Volkswagen... I spoke to the managing director of Volkswagen one night at a launch, and he said, that there's a 600-kilometer range battery-powered car coming from Volkswagen. Now, when that happens, say goodbye. That's the conversation is over as to whether we should have electric or petrol or diesel. Because 600 kilometers is about as far as you're going to get from a petrol engine car at the moment. So if an electric car can do a genuine 600 kilometers, and if Volkswagen are saying it at a press conference in Ireland, it's a definite thing. It's happening. It is happening right now. When that comes, Tesla's going to be in real deep doo-doo. Misk. I'm glad you're not Elon Musk coming on to ask questions. Anyway, hi Bob, love the show. Have you noticed sports seats getting tighter, especially in the seat back bolsters, or am I just getting fat? You're just getting fat. You're putting on weight. You got to put down the chocolate cake, and then you'll be able to fit into the car. No, you're right. They do. What they're doing is they're bringing the bolsters forward. Instead, they're not making them smaller. They're bringing them more out, because if you want to feel lateral support in a car, you want to stop side slip. So you don't want that feeling. So what they're doing is moving the bolsters forward on your hip area, and that's making it feel a little bit tighter, but it's not actually tighter. The electric ones, there are some electric ones that actually hug you. They pull in around the outside and they actually get tighter and tighter around you, and they're really pleasant. But if you're a base overweight, Andy McAfee says, Bob wins the lotto. What 5 cars would you buy in order of preference for your fleet to be massively? I would a VW California or a camper van, but at least a VW California, right, would be probably the first thing off, because it does everything a car should do, but is also a camper van. That's kind of it, right? I would buy an Audi RS3, the saloon one. The actual press car one I had is like bang on, top range. A Volkswagen Golf R. I know I'm being Volkswagen-y, VW VAG Group love is right here. A Golf R, or possibly a Skoda Octavia VRS or RS. It'd be a hard choice to make between the two of those two, but I think I'd probably go Golf R, and I get that big exhaust thing on the back of it. What else would be in there? After that, it gets a bit muddy. It's very hard to predict that. Maybe a Range Rover Vogue would be in there now still, but the reliability thing would drive me up the wall. If I spent that money on a car and there was something wrong with the screen or something wrong with anything in the car, I'd freak out. Never happens in VW Group cars. I think that's 5. Is it that 5? I don't know. Yeah, I love the way that one started, but although your reviews are great. It's not slagging out channel, that was great. I lost my place again. Oh, there we go. How can a company like Fiat own a company like Ferrari and it makes us bad looking cars? They're not bad. Fiats aren't bad looking cars. They're lovely looking cars. Look what Alfa Romeo are doing currently with the Giulia. Beautiful car. Probably won't sell that many of them, but brilliant looking car. Ferrari and Fiat, they may own them, and it's a financial thing. It doesn't mean the Fiat walk in and go, I don't like the way you're designing that car, change it. They can't. Ferrari is Ferrari, and they make their own cars. I'm not terribly into the Ferrari thing. I just think Ferrari is a bit too stupidly exclusive stuff. You know, it's like, we choose you to own the car. How dare you? It's my money. I buy what I like. What's your thought on the Renault Kadjar? Kadjar. Big car, very big car. Loads of space. Dashboard quality, that screen in the middle is a bit, I don't know, it's like a half-hearted attempt at it, but it's a nice car. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Choose wisely. Do you need a car that big? Because it's got a really big boot on it. The Capture is a nice size car other than the Kadjar version of it. But like, loads of choice in that range. You know, you have the Skoda Karoq, you have the Tiguan Allspace, you've got, you know, there's loads of other cars in that kind of segment to look at as well. So don't get too, you know, focused on a Renault Kadjar, but it's a nice car. They're a lovely car. Sorry for being late again, boss. That's just not good enough. Just not good enough. We are 98 minutes into the live stream. I'm going to turn it up now. Report to the headmaster. If I could get a 600-kilometer Passat estate, it would be by Mondeo. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. Once you get the 600-kilometer range, so what happens? If you think about this for a second, what happens at 600-kilometer range? Number one, we don't need as many street chargers as we have now. Okay? We don't need as many fast chargers as we have now, because that's why they're not going in. That's why the infrastructure is not rolling out. Because if some long range car comes along, then all of a sudden you don't need all these chargers between them. So if I can go further, right now 300, 280 to 300 is the max. Double that range, 600 kilometers. And that's 6 trips to Dublin for me, from here, from the middle of the country to Dublin back. And if I go during the rain, then I just plug in for half an hour. I'm back up to 600 kilometer range again. So 600 kilometers like the holy grail at the moment. Everything changes. The conversation about electric car completely changes at that range. And that is close. I'm still thinking 2020, 2019, late 2019, mid 2019, we'll start seeing press releases about it. Genuine range tests and stuff, and in 2020 you'll see it all starting to come out. Once that happens, the whole conversation about electric cars is over as to whether we should have it or not. It just means we will. Asbo Tango has another question. That's a great name, Asbo. Took the words out of my mouth when proper car manufacturers embrace electric cars is bye-bye Tesla. That's kind of what's going to happen. Tesla's been a lovely diversion. They will probably continue to make nice, fast electric cars or nice electric cars. But, we can all have a ludicrous mode in all our cars. It's called sport mode in a normal car. If you're not a complete geek and thinking about Spaceballs, the movie, you won't call it ludicrous mode. It doesn't do a whole lot. It just restricts the whole car down when you turn it off and turn it on. It's the same as a sport mode in a normal car. So it's the same principle. We'll all have it. Bob, in your opinion, Passat or Superb? Passat is ubiquitous. It's a business car. It's designed to give that business solid feel, look. It's a lovely car to drive. Insanely quiet inside and really equipped for the driver. So if you're going to be the driver and you're happy with that, be the driver of a Passat. Buy it in DSG for the most amount of comfort. Buy the active cruise control and the options. Spend a bit of money on those options. Get the ones you're looking for. The Superb is the family version of the Passat. So if you're looking to buy for a 4-seat and you're going to ferry your teenage kids around the place, you want to give them the best experience in the back of a car, the Superb works because there's a huge back seat in that yoke. But as a driver's car, the Passat's a much better car to drive. So I would go Passat between the two of those two. And that was for Powell. I can't pronounce your name. But welcome to the live stream. Admin says, the new VW Polo seems to have reliability issues regarding the turbo. My mechanic tells me. I'm sure your mechanic is an expert. I'm sure the VW Polo hasn't got all those problems. How many has he served? Is he a Volkswagen mechanic? Most mechanics that you meet in the little backstreet places that are all brilliant and all, they know their stuff. Generally, they will slag off new technology because it's very hard to wrap your head around. They've had 2 Polos turn up with this problem. I don't understand how a brand new Polo, only came out last year, only tested this year with a turbo engine, could end up being in a backstreet mechanics and it's all of a sudden there's turbo trouble. So he has to work for Volkswagen. So I don't understand how he'd be telling you about bad turbos. I haven't had those. So the amount of people that get in touch with me talking about the turbos in the Volkswagen Polo has been 0. Golf GTE or Auris Hybrid? For God's sake, buy a Golf GTE. Auris Hybrid is lovely, but it will put you asleep driving around the place. Golf GTE at least drives like a good, nice, brisk car and fun car to drive. The Auris Hybrid does drive, but it's much more about fuel economy. It's much more about that kind of feel and vibe of being very responsible to the planet. Hi Bob, how are you? This is William Johnson. Apologies for trying to play it. It's nearly turned up. It's nearly over. It's late. Not even late. Last few announcements I've got to make, right, is... One is this is now a podcast. It is on iTunes. The first 2 episodes are up there on iTunes. I'm going to put out more over the coming weeks, but I'm going to adjust the beginning because people will be coming to my iTunes account for the very first time, having never known anything about the Sunday service, and will be tuning in now going, what's a Sunday service and what's it about? So I'm going to do a little intro, little outro for the Sunday service on iTunes, but that is now there. So if you're not used to, if you want to listen to this in your car or you want to go for a run or whatever it is, and you want to Sunday service in your ear holes, you will now be able to get it on iTunes. So make sure you subscribe to that one if you don't see it here. But subscribing here is the biggest support you can give to the channel, because obviously YouTube advertising is the thing that pays for what's going on here. But if you feel you can financially support the channel, there are links underneath for PayPal and Patreon and all those other versions that you can get in touch. Any of that kind of goodness will support what I'm trying to do here. I had to buy a year subscription to a podcast hoster who could host 26 or 28 hours of podcasts straight off the mark. That was the very first thing I asked was, I have 28 hours of content to give you. They go, 28 hours of podcast? Like, it's huge. So that was a difficult decision to make. David says, if one of your lotto top 5 had to be a classic, what would it be? So many classics. God, it'd be very hard to choose that. I would like something Lancia, something Italian, something really stupidly Italian that you're going to have to fix every 15 minutes. And that would be the dream, because 90% of happy ownership of a classic is fixing the thing, is being under it during the winter time, is trying to get things started in the first place. Reliable classics don't tend to stay classics very long. People don't really like them. Look at the sun. It's blue sky here. It's beautiful here. God almighty, why did they even think about this bad weather thing? Do you think once they get in between 25 to 30% of market share for electric, that the cost will spiral for charging, even though it'll have to be as expensive as petrol, diesel? It's inevitable. Yeah, Joe, unfortunately it is inevitable, but we are moving to a situation where we're in a period of massive disruption in every direction. Everything is being disrupted. That includes our energy sources. People are putting in solar panels. People are putting in, you can now, I've seen it online, you can buy a charge point for electric cars that has a solar panel dedicated to it, right? You buy this as a kit, goes onto the side of your house, you bolt it on, and it's connected directly to the solar panel on the roof. Now, I know in Ireland that's going to be a bit of an effort. You don't get as much sun here as you would in other countries, but when you think about how we're moving, if we're moving in that direction, this is all positive. This is all free power for us, and it puts us back. We have to start supporting. We have to start buying these things, and then they'll make more. And so there is going to be, of course, the price will start to rise. Right now, currently, you can charge an electric car on the street for free. It doesn't cost anything. You get free fuel. Would you credit Tesla in having to push the other manufacturers regards EV development and quicker than they might have started without getting around to it, without their input? No, I think we're going that direction anyway. I don't think I'd credit Tesla. I think Tesla came in on the back of what car companies were already trying to achieve in a less meaningful way, perhaps. But I think they were trying to achieve it anyway. This transformation of power. I think Tesla has shone a light on what people are willing to pay for electric cars, in that people are willing to pay 80, 90, 100,000 euro and more to get into a brand like Tesla without really understanding what they're buying into. And you have people like Robert Llewellyn, who have bought so far into Tesla that he's got a power wall thing in his shed and everything. He's bought right into the brand. And so in that respect, as much as I like Bobby Llewellyn, he is definitely not a trusted source when it comes to reviewing a Tesla car or what the Tesla business is up to, the business model. You know, you have to be able to stand outside the brand and go, that's not right, you can't do that, or whatever it is. So by the same respect, I think we would be where we are right now with electric car, whether Tesla did it or didn't do it. Richard O'Connor says, thinking of selling my car, it's a petrol and a half, thinking of a diesel. We'd be better off with a small engine. Petrol, diesel prices are due to me. Diesel is due to rise. Government has already been floating ERSI numbers at us about making petrol and diesel the same price at the pumps. In other words, raising the price of petrol up to raising the price of diesel up to petrol. Mileage is the most important part here, Richard. It's no point in buying a 1 litre or 1.2 litre petrol if your mileage is 30, 40,000 kilometres a year. You're not going to see the benefit of it, even if they're the same price. You're still going to get better miles per gallon from a diesel. But if you're low mileage, electric will be very good for you. If you're up to 20,000 kilometers a year, would be anything up to electric or hybrid, somewhere in between the two. What do you make of the sporty SUVs? I think the sportier the SUV, the more likely the owner is up to no good. Scumbag dodge. I don't know. I think a car says a lot about a person, but I don't know if a car says that they're a scumbag. Good to know, Bob, as I knew the Polo especially as the most economical car in its class. However, I did not like the DSG. As for the Megatronic issues in the past, one Golf 7 GTI owner. Yeah, well, DSG went through its problems, all right, but I think it's solved all of those. Bob, do you know that your comment is still on the top comment on the Rubber Bandits Sunny music video, Mental Health? Is it? I didn't know that. Did I comment on that? Anyway, well, thanks. I'm glad. Said a big DSG Sports Clutch Pack. Right. Bob, what do you think about the new Peugeot 508? It's pretty looking. I remain reserved in my judgment until I've driven it and had it and owned it and kept it and used it for a week, because Peugeot have this habit of going, this is extraordinarily beautiful. And then after 3 or 4 days, you go, good God, I can't even put a cup holder in the thing, you know. That's what Peugeot tend to do. Sometimes they get it absolutely spot on, like 3008, both generations. Sometimes they miss the mark by miles with the 508. And the 508, the kind of off-roady one, which was really pretty to look at, but they just lost their bottle on it and ended up giving just a standard diesel yoke instead of giving us a proper hybrid. Bob, any plans to test Mondeo hybrid, which Ford are finally bringing to Ireland? Ford are weird. There is some Ford thing on next Thursday. I can't think what it is, but I don't think it's a hybrid thing, as far as I know. I think it's just ST line or something. But there is a Ford thing on next Thursday, as far as I remember. If it's at it, I'll test it. I'm willing to test anything. I can't imagine Mondeo is a heavy car. I can't imagine a Mondeo hybrid being very economical unless they absolutely strip out everything that makes it a heavy car. Because most hybrids or electric cars tend to be much lighter than their diesel and petrol alternatives. So I know my brother owns my brother bought a Mondeo, a 1.6 litre diesel, after I told him, don't buy the 1.6 litre diesel. It hasn't got enough power to take off from the traffic lights. And he went, oh, look at how cheap, it's fine, it'll be fine. And what's the first complaint he made to me? He cut out the traffic lights. I think the biggest issue for EVs is the charging time. It takes too long to charge. Yes, but at 600 kilometre range or even 300 kilometre range, you're only going to charge it at night time. You're not going to have to pull over on a great big long drive. I mean, I don't drive to Cork twice a year, maybe. I drive to Dublin every Monday. It's 100 kilometres from me to there. So 80 odd kilometres up to maybe Sandyford or somewhere around that area, or Liffey Valley is 80, 85 kilometres for me. If I had 300 kilometres, that's a trip up, trip down, and then a charge at night. At night time, I'd still have 100 kilometres left. So taking a long time to charge, if you're only charging overnight when your car is parked. I mean, my car is parked outside the door now and has been there since we went to the park run this morning. And that was 11:30. So 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. There's 4 hours. It'd be fully charged if it was electric. Admin says, what do you think is in all those battery packs of all those electric cars? Right, all dangerous chemicals. What do you think is in the petrol tank of all cars, if not chemically dangerous and explosive? Think about it. Any plans to review your own car? Only if I'm only selling the car. If I was selling it, I'd probably review it. But right now, no. I would if he's all white. I don't think he'd be interested, to be honest with you. It's just the 1.6 Seat Leon. Bob, oh yeah, well, I said that one already. After scrolling back too far. Will the Mondeo lift be in Europe? Nope, don't think so. Bob, your brother is a Mondeo man. Yes, my brother, yes, he is a Mondeo man. He likes Ford. He's always been a Ford. He had a C-Max and he had a Focus, I think. A Ford person, yeah. Never really asked for advice. He only ever asked for advice on a Mondeo 1.6 diesel, and I told him not to buy that, to buy the 2 litre diesel. Far better. If you had to buy a Mondeo, buy the 2 litre diesel, and he didn't. So generally, my family doesn't pay any attention to my advice on cars. They just go and buy a car. My girlfriend does not want me to buy a Toyota hybrid. All those cars have high voltage converters, which can be dangerous or is an accident. I can't assure. Nope. In the history of electric cars, no one person has been killed as an owner by the electrics of the electric car. Although, in the history of petrol cars, many people have been blown up in the event of the accident. Petrol and diesel cars are just as explosive and just as expensive to fix and just as dangerous to drive, or whatever way you want to put it, as an electric car. Electric cars make really no difference whatsoever. You're carrying around a very small explosive in your pocket the whole time, being a phone constantly. That's got a battery in it, just like the batteries that are in electric cars, and hardly anyone has died unless you're a Samsung Galaxy owner who had some ones that blew up. So it can happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm just saying that I don't think there's any more danger in an electric car. I think there's so much research gone into the safety aspects of electric cars right now, and it's very unlikely you're ever going to have that sort of an issue. It's not saying it's impossible, but it's very, very unlikely that's going to happen. Right, we're coming to the end now. We're coming to the end. You're very, very good. You've been here for 113 minutes, and the average watch amount of people that has been here has been over 85 for the length of time. So I've had so many people telling me that this is too long, that this will never work, that that a video over 5 minutes no one watches on YouTube. Well, guess what? I've proven something totally different. This is now the biggest live stream in Ireland, the biggest car YouTube channel in Ireland by a country mile, and hopefully it will continue in that respect. So it's all down to you guys who have been here since the start, the little community that came along 2, 3, 4 years ago at this stage and really got this whole thing going. People who email me and tweet me and all that stuff all of the time. You can find me everywhere as usual, but the most places to be is on Instagram. Hit me there because that's where you're going to see everything about the electric Golf next week and the week after, and however, we're going to do something on it every day. It's going to be a huge, expansive thing about electric cars over the coming couple of weeks. So you'll see most of that on Instagram first. You see a lot of the drone shots on Instagram. I'd love your support in this channel wherever you possibly can. Hit me on PayPal. You can do it on Patreon. You can do it on Super Chat right here while the chat is live. It'd be absolutely brilliant to have a bit of money from you as well, if you can support that way. If you can't, at the very least, click the subscribe button. And for those people who are listening back at this, when it comes to the podcast, I'd love that you keep that rating system going there as well. Click and rate and subscribe and do all this sort of stuff. iTunes is wonderful for that, but they again have a stupid algorithm that doesn't tell them how good something is. But it's brilliant to have you here. I'm delighted you've been watching for the last 115 minutes. It's been brilliant, but my voice is wrecked and I have to cook to dinner. So it's very good to have you here. Thank you very, very much for watching. I hope I will see you in the very coming next few videos. And keep an eye on this channel. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next time, I will see you on the far side.